Hello, my name is Chris, and today I'd like to talk about running and physical activity. I'd like to talk about how I went from being someone who smoked 20-30 cigarettes a day and very heavily misused alcohol to someone who can now say that he's run a couple of marathons and half a dozen half marathons and has set all kinds of amazing personal bests. I don't just want to talk about it for the sake of showing off and going, hey, look at me, I ran a marathon, because trust me, I will do that as well. Mainly what I want to do is talk about how running and physical activity have helped me on my journey, helped me through my recovery process, helped me to get healthy, and stay off the cigarettes and stay off the alcohol, how it's helped me, and also the lessons that I've learned through running and physical activity and how those apply to other aspects of my life. Before we get into that, here is your regularly scheduled reminder that the next monthly live stream is, oh my goodness, it is next weekend, Saturday, January the 22nd. That is 6:30 p.m. UK time. The time zones for other parts of the United States and other countries are down in the description below, along with a link where you can set a reminder or notification if you don't want to miss that. There is also a link, of course, in the card above. And if you've never been to a live stream before, but you've always wanted to ask me a question or just sort of talk to me in real time, or even if you don't want to talk to me and you just want to talk to other people that are on this journey with you, come and see us at the live stream on January 22nd. That is next Saturday. Today I am talking about running, physical activity, and getting it better. Getting it better, getting better, and getting it done. Let's get into it. I'll be honest with you, my first interest and my first attempt at running happened years before I started to take it seriously. We're talking 10, maybe 11 years ago now. I was in a state where I was drinking excessively and it was making me and those around me absolutely miserable. And I was chain smoking like the proverbial chimney. I was hugely overweight. My mental health was in the toilet. And I knew that I felt miserable and I knew I wanted to get better, but I didn't quite know how. And then I was in London. I went to London for something, and whilst I was there was a race going on and it looked massively exciting. And I wanted to get involved in something like that, partly because it just looked exciting, but also because I thought, do you know what, this is the thing that I need to do. If I can just start running and enter a race, I'll be able to quit drinking, quit smoking, turn my life around. Everything will be amazing. And it was. So I signed up for the race. And this is when I had never run, I hadn't even run 2 feet before in my entire life, except for when I was at school and I was forced to. And I went to the pub with my friends. I'm stood there and I've got a pint of beer in one hand and a cigarette in the other, and my belly's out here and my face is like that, and I just look like shit. And I said, oh, I've signed up, I'm going to do this race. And every single one of my friends, most people in my family, and in fact pretty much everyone who knew me, said, you'll never do that. You'll never be able to run a race. You, look at you. And I've shared many, many times, I said to those people, I'm going to do this race. They said, you'll never do that race. And I have done countless races since. So that tells me, don't listen to what other people tell me that I can and can't do. Only I know what I'm capable of. And even I don't know what I'm capable of, because as I've gone throughout my running journey, as I'll share later, I always find that I am always more capable of what I think I am. Let's tie this into quitting smoking. Well, I can't do this, it's too hard. It's hard, but we can do it. It's not always hard, but for those of it, come on guys. For those of us who it is, we can do it because we are all capable of more than we think. And I know this because time and time again, I prove to myself that I am capable of more than I think, And I am no different from you or you or you or you right at the back over there. Me and you are so alike. So if I'm capable, that means that you are. And that's a good thing. Signed up for this race. I remember the first time I ever went for a run, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I ran to the end of my street and back, which was probably 1/4 of a mile maximum. And I got home from this run and I felt like I was going to die. I have never felt so battered and out of shape and tired and short of breath and in pain as I was at that moment in my entire life. It was just the most awful thing. But at that point I had, 2 options. I can either say, well, that was terrible, I'm never doing that again. Or I can say, well, that was terrible, but maybe next time will be a little better because I'm prepared and know what to expect. And again, I linked that later in life to quitting smoking, sorting my drinking out, getting my head together. I've spoke to people since and they said, oh, I can't run. I said, have you tried? Well, yeah, I went for a run once and it was awful, so I never did it again. Well, yeah, if you've never done something before, you do something once, it's probably not going to be a breeze. I think about when we quit smoking. We really want to quit, so we attempt to quit and find it tough and then go, well, that was too tough, I'm never doing that again. If we quit when things are hard, we don't give ourselves the opportunity for them to get better and to get easier, which they inevitably do. Now I know if I went back to that same street, I could blitz that in like 5 minutes and not be too out of breath. And that's not me bragging. That's me saying, I've come a very long way since then. If I'd stopped at that point, then I would deny myself the opportunity for things to get better. So I started to train, but I didn't train well enough and I didn't train hard enough because I couldn't, because I had no clue what I was doing. And I realised that I was using this run as a kind of just another means of filling that aching void within. It was just a distraction. It was just kidding, because I was still drinking and I was still smoking. I went to the town where the race was the day before to stay up because it was far away, and I got so nervous and I didn't know how to deal with my nerves, I didn't know how to deal with my fear, I didn't know how to deal with my emotions, that the only response I had to, what the fuck am I doing, was to drink and smoke excessively, because that's what I did. I was caught in such a deep trap of self-sabotage that I thought, I am nervous, the best thing to do is to pollute my body and choke myself and make things even harder for myself the next day. The day of the race came, I woke up feeling like crap, dragged myself to the start line because I knew I was going to do this race, not because I was ready, not because I was prepared. At this point, not even because I wanted to, but because I am stubborn and I knew that I had to, and I had all those voices in my head of people telling me, you won't do this. And I had this thing of, oh yeah, pardon my language, but fucking watch me. And I did it. And I did it out of stubbornness, and I dragged my fat broken body around that course, and I got to the end. And it was a good feeling. But it wasn't the kind of running that I do today. It was terrible. I got to the finish line, being where I was at that time in my life. I crossed the finish line, I got my medal, I grabbed my bag, I opened my bag, I took out a cigarette, and the first thing that I did after crossing the line and getting my shit was to smoke a cig. So it clearly did not help. And this was like right at the end of all my terrible drinking days, because 4 months after that I ended up in my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, which I no longer go to, but it was good for me at the time. And I was so battered and so destroyed, and my legs hurt so much because I'd always had these problems with my knees, that I didn't run after that for a good long while. And it was like the following 18 months later, I ended up having knee surgery for for a knee problem that I'd had for most of my life. And after the knee surgery, I had a mental breakdown over the knee surgery, and then I started to get better. I eventually was able to quit smoking anyway, and then I had this huge bout of depression, and I kind of knew that physical activity was going to help me. But I also knew, well, it can't be running. I used to look out my window and watch people running past and think that looks so cool, but I'll never be able to do that, because I remember having the surgery and the surgeon saying to me, oh, because you've had this surgery, you're going to get arthritis in your 50s. Bear in mind, I was nowhere near my 50s at that point. A little bit closer now, but not too much. And I had this in my mind, well, if I'm going to get arthritis in my 50s, I can't run anymore. So I started cycling, and cycling got me out, got me into the fresh air, got me moving around, got my serotonin going, lifted my mood. And I think if I hadn't started cycling that year, I probably wouldn't have been here now. It wasn't a magical cure. It wasn't like I went out on my bike and went, hurrah, I'm better, everything's fine. But it helped me to start lifting my energy and my spirit so that I could tackle whatever else I needed to tackle to get well. And I was really enjoying the cycling, but I'd still watch people running past and think that was cool. And then one day, and I can tell you exactly where I was lying on my couch watching TV, and it had nothing to do with running, and I'd just spaced out. And I thought, hang on a minute. If this surgeon is telling me that I'm going to get arthritis in my legs when I'm 50, I'm probably going to get arthritis in my legs when I'm 50, regardless as to whether or not I run. This thing seems inevitable at this point. And to be honest with you, as I approach 40, I think the arthritis is starting to kick in. That's okay. And I was at this, yeah, right? If my legs are gonna suck anyway, I might as well make the most of the opportunity to use them whilst I have them. And I think that's so much. I can think so much about other aspects of my physical health and well-being. At some point, I'm gonna get old, and at some point, this body is gonna start letting me down. And at some point, I'm just physically not going to be able to do the things that I always want to do. But I have the opportunity now to do the things that I want to do. I have the opportunity now to look after this body and to treat it well before it's too late. At some point, it is going to be too late for me. If I'd kept smoking, if I'd kept drinking, it would have been too late sooner rather than later. So I'm glad I stopped, and I'm glad that I recognise now I've been given the gift, because I have quit smoking and taken care of the drinking thing. I have been given the gift of a second opportunity. I've been given the gift of a second chance. I've been given the gift of my health. And now I get to use that gift. Take care of myself, go out, enjoy doing the things that I want to do. And I do genuinely enjoy running, as bizarre as that sounds to some people. So, having had this epiphany, this kind of, do you know what, my legs are going to suck at some point anyway, I might as well use them while I still can. I got out and I went for my first run, and I can picture that run very clearly. I can tell you exactly. I ran to the end of a different street and back, because I'd moved house at that point. But if you ever come to visit me, I'll show you exactly where that street was. I ran to the end of this street and back, and again I was like, oh my goodness, that was hard. It was a little easier because I had not smoked for like 6 months maybe at that point, so my lungs have much better capacity than they had a couple of years earlier, but it was still really hard. And again, I had that choice then. that was really hard. Well, I can either go, well, I never want to experience any discomfort. I never want to experience anything that is hard in my life, so I won't do that again. Or do you know what? I can go through that hard thing again, knowing it'll be a little bit easier every time I do it. Even if the increase in ease, I don't know if I've explained that very well, even if it gets, the amount by which it gets easier is like a fraction, like so small that you can barely see it with the naked eye, it is progress. You know, and again, I can bring that back to quitting smoking, quitting drinking, achieving any goal. I found that one of the main things that I need in my life in order to do what I want to do is consistency and persistence. I need to keep doing it. I can't just say, well, that sucked, I'm never going to do it again. That sucked, yeah, it did, but if I keep going, it's going to get better. And it did. You know, I was running, I think at that point in my life, I was running a mile and it was taking me like 13 minutes to run a mile, 13 minutes to run a mile. But I kept going. I started to sign up for races, and I'd sign up for these races and I'd be like one of the slowest people on the course. It used to really dishearten me that I'd set off to run, and for pretty much the whole race I would just have people flying past me the whole time. Thum, thum, thum. I always felt like, you know, I felt like I was running backwards with the amount of people that were overtaking me. Like I just couldn't keep up with anyone. Then it occurred to me that I don't need to keep up with anyone because this is my journey. This is my thing that I am doing for me. I'm not bothered about how many people are overtaking me. I'm not bothered about how many people are behind me. I'm not bothered how you're running your race. I'm not bothered how you're doing your journey. I mean, I care about you greatly, but at the moment, all I'm concerned about is me and my journey and how I'm going to get to where I want to be. So I run at my own pace, do it my own way, figure out what works for me and do more of that. Recognize what isn't working for me, stop doing it. But focusing on my own journey doesn't mean that I can't be supportive of other people and encouraging of other people. One of the things I absolutely love about race events is that quite often you'll meet people who will run the event, and like the faster ones at the fronts, they will finish their race and then start walking back along the like where the crowds are to cheer on the other runners and support them over the finish line. And I love that. When I first started doing races, I found that enormously helpful. To be getting close to that finish line and just be absolutely dying. And have someone who's already been there, got to the finish line, come back and say, you can do this, keep going, you're almost there. And I love that. And today I get to do that when I do races because I've improved time and time and time again. I'm by no means the fastest person on the course, but I'm by no means the slowest either. I finish in a pretty good time, and then if I want to, I can be the guy who now goes back and waves people on and encourages them and says, yes, you can do this because somebody has done it before you and they've proven that it's possible. Which we can do with so many other things in our lives. You know, one of the things I love about our group, Finding Freedom, facebook.com/group/findingfreedom1, is that there are people who have done their own journey, completed their own journey, or are in the process of their own journey and doing well enough to be able to loop back and say, hey, come on, this is doable. It's one of the reasons why I love doing these videos. You know, somebody left me a really mean comment the other day to say that I focus on too much on how hard smoking is because quitting smoking was really fucking hard for me. But I got there anyway. I can't say, hey, quitting smoking is easy, you're going to have a great time, because I have no idea how to do that. All I know is how to get through when things are tough. But I get to be able to come back and say, look, I know it can be tough, but it also can be done. But in order to do that, I had to complete my own journey first. You know, I can't go back and loop and encourage other racers on until I've got to the finish line. The same even now. You may notice if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, which I highly recommend you do. You know, there will be times when I don't post for a couple of weeks or even a month. And it's not because I don't want to or because I don't have anything to say, but because I have so much going on for myself that I have to take care of my own journey first before I come back for you guys. Otherwise, if everything's chaos for me and I'm trying to help you, I'm doing you a disservice, I'm doing myself a disservice. So I focus on not worrying too much about what other people are doing. I'm not worried about what Alan Carr is doing, or what Joel is doing, or what you're doing. I'm concentrating on what I'm doing and getting to where I want to be. And when I'm safe and well, I can come back and, you know, cheer other people on and say, look, we can do this. So now it's been a couple of years since I started running regularly, and I've done countless races since then. Done a couple of marathons, 26.2 miles. I've done half a dozen half marathons, 13.1 miles, which, if you're curious, is my favourite distance to run. 10Ks, 5Ks, 10 milers. And I still, years down the line, find running races, not necessarily all the training runs, but doing my races, I find them tough. The reason I find them tough is completely different from the reason, no, actually it's not completely different, it's the same reason, because I am pushing myself. I get to push myself a little bit harder with every race, because if I'm just trotting, you know, I could easily trot along in a race and I'd get a medal and it'd be cool, but for myself, I like to push myself and see what I'm capable of. And like I said at the beginning, I always find that I am capable of at least a little bit more than I thought. In 2021, I set a new personal best in the half marathon distance, the 10K distance and the 5K distance. And the half marathon distance surprised me because I wasn't expecting it. I'd had a little bit of time off from running for reasons why I can't really remember. I think I was injured or something. And I had a little bit of time off. Started to get back into my training like a week or two before. Got to the event and I was saying to my girlfriend, okay, I'm going to finish, I'm just going to do the best that I can and not worry about records and not worrying anything like that. I'm just going to, because I was nervous and I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm just going to give it a go and see what happens. We have, if you are running yourself, you'll know there are pacers. They, you know, keep the time. If you follow this pacer, you're likely to finish at this time. If you follow this pacer, you'll finish in this many hours and minutes, etc. I was like, I'm going to follow this one pacer and finish at a steady time. And I blitzed my way past that pacer and left him in my dust and never saw him again, and realised that, oh my goodness, I can do this, and it's going to be hard, and I'm going to have to push myself, and I'm going to have to work hard, and I'm going to be tired and sore, but if I do this, oh my goodness. I finished that race about 20 minutes faster than I planned, and at least a good 10 minutes faster than the last time I'd actually run a half marathon distance. It blew my mind. And then I did another half marathon about 6 weeks later, and I beat that time, not by as much, by maybe 30 seconds to a minute, so I can't quite remember. But that was always that proof of, I don't think I can do this. Actually, yes I can. In fact, not only can I do it, but I can do it better than I thought. And that just doesn't apply to running, that applies to pretty much anything in my life and in your life. Like I said, we're all way more capable than what we think. The trick, the secret, the key is to not give up before we find out what we're capable of. It is just past the point of difficulty when we find out what we're truly capable of and what we're made of. And it surprises me, and it may surprise you too. But if I'd gone into that race when I did the really good time and found my legs were starting to hurt and I was feeling a bit tired and going, well, okay, this is enough. I can't bother to see what else I'm capable of. I would have never have done that. Instead, when the going got tough, I just kind of kept going. Come on, let's see what you can do. you know, and I did it. And like I said, there is nothing particularly special about me compared to you or you. The trick is to just not give up and keep going, and to recognize the difference between pain and discomfort. It's hugely important. I think if there's one lesson I've learned from running more than any other, is to recognize the difference between pain and discomfort. Discomfort tells me that my body is working hard, or that my brain is working hard, or that I'm going through something, but I'm going to be okay. Discomfort tells me this is hard work. Pain tells me actually something's wrong, you need to stop. You know, there is a big difference when I am running between, yeah, my legs hurt because they've been put through the mill and they're working harder than they're used to, and you know, there's a difference between that and there's a really sharp, intense pain in my knee. That probably means I'm hurt and I need to stop right away. And to stop right away and not think, oh, it's just discomfort, I'll be fine, but to recognize, you know, the same with emotional pain and emotional discomfort. Yeah, I'm sad right now, I'm stressed, but it's not the end of the world, I'm going to be okay. It's because I'm going through something. And, you know, actual emotional pain, while I'm going through this thing, or I'm dealing with this person who is hurting me, upsetting me and making me miserable, and no amount of patience or kindness is helping, I need to stop, because I can't allow myself to be in this pain all the time, because it's going to hurt me and it's going to cause me more long-term damage. If I recognize that I'm injured when I'm running and I keep running, it's going to mess up my legs to the point where I probably can't run again in the future. If I am in intense emotional or mental turmoil and I just keep running into the same brick walls that I'm always running into, I'm going to get hurt, and it's not going to just hurt me in the short term, it's going to wreck certain parts of my life down the line too. It has been a very, very long journey to go from being that really overweight, chain smoking, alcohol misusing, wreck of a self-sabotaging human being who everybody told would never run a race, to somebody who, I'm going to be honest, I'm just crushing it when I go running. I really enjoy it and I do so good. It's been a long journey and I've learned so much, but I've had to do it the same way I quit smoking and the same way I did everything, which is one day, one step, one decision at a time. I didn't go out on that first run and run a marathon. I didn't run my first race and set a personal best that hasn't been set since. It's persistency and consistency. Keep going, keep doing what works, keep doing what is good, even if in the moment it is uncomfortable. Recognise that difference between what's discomfort, what's actually this is top and I need to stop. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I know it's a little different. My friend Vicky reached out to me. You'll all know Vicky, she's the moderator of our Finding Freedom group. She said, hey, it would be a good idea to do a video about running. And I don't quite think I've done the video that Vicky asked me to do, but I had no plan for this, so I've just gone off on one, and I'll come back and do more videos about physical exercise and getting started with physical activity after quitting smoking and drinking, if that's something that you'd like to hear me talk about more about. If so, let me know in the comments below. Come over to Finding Freedom, facebook.com/group/findingfreedom1. Come and join us on the live stream on January the 22nd, and let me know that that's what you'd like, or let me know anything else you'd love to hear me talk about. Before I go, it is of course mandatory that I tell you that I wrote a book. It is called Quit Smoking and Be Happy. It is available in print and ebook form from Amazon.com. And if you would like to work with me on a one-to-one basis to help you through your quit smoking journey, you can find all the information on that at cjstherapy.com/quit smoking support. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.